anyway, conference thing, just to see what it sounded like. But hopefully
Oh,
it came
okay.
out
You're
okay.
trying to listen into yourself.
Just for
Yeah,
a minute, I was like, forget it. It's okay.
Okay, well, that's wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a tricky time because we're hoping that we might have had some of the other speakers able to come in as well, but it's all, everyone's dealing with different times around the world.
Yes.
So tell our viewers whereabouts you are.
Okay, so I'm in Central Florida, North Central Florida, the West Coast, where we have an abundance of manatees right now. That's our big thing where I live. Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah. And now, if we could sort of go back to the conversations that we've had today, I think it was very interesting that our first presenters, if we look back at Inga and Maha and Claire and yourself, and there was so much talk around energy, vibration, spirit, impact of the birth practitioner presence. So it's always that theme, isn't it? Which we just realized, know that birth is just not just a physiological experience.
Yeah.
And with some of the book research that I was doing with the Omama coming out, I was speaking with one of the many specialists that I was interviewing is a very well-known medical herbalist in New Zealand, Brad Crouch, who had specialised for a lot of time in maternity and infertility. Gosh, every time I would talk about various different pregnancy minor discomforts and things, he just kept coming up. Bowen therapy, yeah, would be something that he. So can you tell us, what would be the commonest things that you would find that you are using Bowen therapy to treat in that maternity journey?
Oh, I'm not the Bowen therapy person.
Oh my God! I saw you're Reiki. Oh.
Yeah, but that's okay. I thought, oh gosh, I don't really know.
That's terrible.
Please don't. No, that's okay. Yeah, I'm the Reiki. I'm the Reiki person.
Oh my goodness, sorry, we've had a lot going on. But answer the same question for Reiki. Yeah, what are the main things that you're using it for in the maternity journey?
Well, really, Reiki can be used for really anything and everything. And I know, that may sound, oh, well, really, like, how could you do that? But because it's, it's really a non-touch, although you may lightly touch somebody, the energy moves where it needs to go. So you can really use it for anything I really focused in on the anxiety and the stress, because that's really been one of my main focuses. But really anything that's going on, that's presenting itself physically or, mentally, emotionally is stuck energy. What happens with dis-ease, and I'm not a medical person, but just, I heard a little bit what you had to say about that earlier. So when you have dis-ease in the body, something isn't working right? There's something going on that's misfiring. There's a miscommunication within your body, but it's energetic. And so Reiki works on that level very subtly. So it can really be used for pregnancy. It can be used during labor.
But then I guess we could, and sometimes that can be almost the downside of integrative medicine, is that it sort of it doesn't sort of almost matter whether it's medical herbalism or whether it's acupuncture or osteopathy, but you sort of say, well, what's it particularly good for? And often the answer will come back, oh, everything, we can kind of help everything. And that it does make it challenging for the clients then, because they're like, well, I've got this particular thing, which is the best person that I should go and see for that? So I guess I wonder, I totally understand that because it's a holistic healing technique, it does have the ability to, remedy a lot of different things. It's like, what's the old saying that it's the reason that one particular vitamin can cure so many diseases is because the lack of one particular vitamin can cause so many diseases, you know.
Right.
So it's kind of in that spectrum, but what would be the commonest things that you find that you use it for, that that sort of makes that real impact? Is it, I would say, what was
Stress,
it?
really, stress,
Stress,
which
right?
we all have stress, right? And it can be
Yeah,
good or bad stress. But what that does to the body and how that impacts everything else, right? And it goes back and forth is really the main thing, because with Reiki, what happens, regardless of, some of the studies they've done, is that it really lowers heart rate. It levels off the systems that are out of control. It brings people down to a more balanced body, mind. So really,
yeah,
when you're pregnant, right, you can be going through a number of stresses, right? And when I think about Western medicine and how women are going into birth, mainly, at least in the US, choosing an obstetrician versus a midwife, or the obstetrical model, medical model versus the midwifery model. There's so many stressors that come with that. And I really believe that Western medicine is the alternative medicine. I mean, that's my come from, right?
yeah,
It's great that we have it, and thank God we do. But the real medicine is not the big pharma and all the interventions and all. So really working on that stress, wherever it's coming from.
yeah. It was
I
very
find.
interesting. You probably heard some of the statistics that, earlier in the year, when the whole world sort of suddenly needed to go into lockdown, the amount of babies being admitted into NICU seriously dropped.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all around the planet. And they were kind of thinking, why, how has this happened? And I have my own theory, and I think that's a huge reduction in stress, that women were not going into labor prematurely at the same level. So we were having a lot less preterm babies getting born because they were sitting at home instead of going to work every day and getting stressed. And then on top of that, we had more women that were suddenly deciding to birth at home or in a primary care setting rather than being in a hospital. So that improved their outcomes as well. And
Yes.
it was funny because, around the world, NICUs are going, why is this happening? Why have we got, all these empty beds? And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
it's really obvious
I know, right? To some,
because your
yeah,
women are less stressed.
exactly. And like you said too, they're choosing not to go to the hospital. That's the last place. Some of us know that's the last place you want to go, even before COVID. But now with COVID, I mean, really, why would you want to go there for anything right now? At least what we're experiencing in the US. I mean, as a whole. But given, with birth, where it's not a medical event, you're not sick,
Yeah,
right?
and when you've got a healthy term woman with a healthy term baby, we do know that her and her baby's statistical best outcomes is not in a hospital, but it's that whole thing, and people feel insecure, but suddenly they knew that because of coronavirus, that was absolutely not the safest place for them to be. And it was an amazing a transformation of women, how they would suddenly pivot their ideas, and going from that concept that they were going to have the epidural and be in that sterile clinic birthing room, and then they're going to suddenly go, okay, I need to do this at home, let's hire a pool, and amazing how I talked to a few colleagues on this, and because usually women who are wanting to do unmedicated natural births have made that decision typically quite early in their pregnancy. That's
Right.
their mindset, that's what they want to do. But suddenly there was all these women who had to make a very rapid decision. And what was interesting is that they did those is that they very quickly changed their mindsets very successfully.
Right, which is
So
interesting.
even though they hadn't had all those months of getting their head around it, they got their head around it really quickly.
Right.
And
And
that impacted NICU. So amazing, amazing.
yeah, I find that
Yeah.
fascinating. It actually reminds me of a story about energy. So I had gone through a personal transformational program several years back, and it was quite intense. And so you would get exhausted at one point, just like, I am so tired. I just, I've got to go to sleep. And the trainer would say something like, okay, so do you think you would muster up the energy if, we said there was a fire in the building that you would, that you would run, would you suddenly run? So when faced with, I think, with certain things happen, right? We can
Yes.
make that shift.
Yes.
When it's more of, maybe crisis or close to that point, or that we're so afraid to do something that it's shifting us, in a different direction.
Yeah.
Quickly.
So it's a very interesting situation for the whole world to experience of what happens when, millions of women suddenly realize that a hospital is not their safest place to be, and how they manage that. And obviously, if they knew that they had complex complications to their pregnancy or with their baby, then that would be a situation where it's a real balance of, well, there's some real reasons that I need to be in a secondary care, tertiary care facility, or her baby does because of some anatomical abnormalities or anything. But everything's normal and healthy. It was just like, wow, okay, let's change the plan, and amazing outcomes. So certainly somebody's going to be studying that, down the track, and seeing why suddenly our NICUs were just emptying out. But those of you that are here and live, if you've got any questions from generated from the speaking this morning, please come on through and type them into the chat. That would be great. Let's just have a little look. So the other ones that we had on there today, Maha is the belly dance birth queen, and she's just absolutely fascinating. And so I would recommend anybody check out her site. Her details should be on her listing within the platform of the symposium. And so we got here, I'm just looking on my little list.
I got a chance to listen in. I've heard her speak once or twice, and we're friends on Facebook, so I'm always seeing what she's about. But I think it's related. I mean, when you're talking about dance, the energy that you're bringing, that you're creating, it's the same with Reiki. It's all about that energy. And where is it? How can you use it and trust it and send it where it needs to go and really work with it? So I love that. I love what she had to say about the dance.
Yeah, and the same thing with Inga as well. That was very much energy related again. And Claire is Claire, who was talking about spinning babies. She is put up a really good extended version of her information as well. So we will be adding that at some time in the sort of next 24 hours or so onto the site, so people can go in and watch that. And absolutely fascinating. Oh, somebody's just asked, I've been looking for belly dancing for birth in Wellington in New Zealand. So if anybody knows about where there might be some, Vida, who's asked that, I would suggest that you probably contact Maha on that, because she is the belly dance birth queen, and if she knows of anybody that's teaching that in Wellington in New Zealand, then like if anybody knows, she'll know. And
Yeah.
so that's just wonderful. So does anybody have any other questions that they may have wanted to ask? We're most welcome to. Okay, and we've got, and then also hopefully you guys also all managed to catch my little pre-recorded one. We were talking about the new book. La, 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 la. Oh Mama. So this is a perinatal integrative healthcare guide. So it's a birth practitioner handbook really to holistic maternal neonatal wellness. And it includes a section on Reiki. So there we go.
Oh, yay. So
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
you're
that's in there
familiar.
as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice,
And
yeah.
so yeah, do make sure you guys download it. So everybody that's got a you know, paid for a purchase ticket has got access to getting that. Now that's going to be the pre-publisher version. So this is like the very last manuscript version that's going to have a last tiny little tweaky edit until it gets published into its final version. So you're basically getting the second to final version, but you know, not a lot should be changing from that. But that's been taken a couple of years to write. So hopefully that's going to be really useful for everybody.
Exciting.
And please spread the word on that, particularly because that really represents IMCO, and that's what IMCO is all about, is integrating that those complementary and alternative therapies into maternity.
Yeah, you know, I like to. I was thinking about the fact that when when women are pregnant and they're in labor, they're going through that whole system and it's more medical. There's just there's so much to be concerned about because with any kind of a intervention, right? There's always a risk, right? So there's the risks and the benefits, and they get to decide, right? Which set ideally they get to decide which set of benefits and risks they choose, right? In certain instances, and that's one thing I wanted to say about Reiki, where there's zero risk, like literally there's zero risk. There's no harm that can come, and that's like a lot of these other modalities as well. But that's the one thing that I find very attractive about Reiki.
Yeah, it's not going to do, you're not balancing a risk factor because there is no risk. Yeah,
exactly.
And in a way, homeopathy is very much very similar to that as well. That if you don't have the right remedy with homeopathy, well, generally nothing happens. So
right,
that's it. And if you ask modern pharmaceutical medicine, what's the ingredient in homeopathy? Well, they'll say, well, there's nothing. There's no molecular structure in that thing that does anything because it's a vibrational tincture. But
vibration, there you go. It's all about
it's all about vibration. But we know it just makes such a difference. There would have been, because I did a lot, I've done a lot of births and home births and birth centre births, like what we would call primary care births. And I would easily say that I've probably saved hundreds of instrumental deliveries with women who have sort of got to that point in their labour when they're second stage and they're pushing, and sometimes their body is, particularly prime-ups, their body is just so shattered, and you can put up some fluids and do other things and sort of re-energize them, but sometimes their head gets into that place where it's like they almost just they're giving up themselves, and you give them a little bit of homeopathic tinctures and it's all happening, and 15 minutes later we've got a baby, and what's in it? Nothing. It's vibrational tinctures. So we know that it makes a huge difference, and so very, very positively. Well, is there anything else? If there's nothing, is there anything else that anybody would like to ask Betsy, particularly about Reiki?
Yeah, I guess.
Do it now. Otherwise, what I would like to do. Oh, hey, Kara, do you want to give me that screen? Yeah, I've got. there we go. I just want to tell you, those who are here, just a reminder to please, if you could go and visit the Advanced Health Chiropractics site on our Symposium Hoover platform. Advanced Health Chiropractic have been really awesome friends of IMCO for many years now. And I remember one time when the amazing Robbie Davis Floyd was in New Zealand, and we were doing a conference, and she had put her back out and she was in dreadful pain. She could just hardly walk, and within a few hours she needed to be up on stage doing this big keynote. And I don't know what the whole team at Advanced Health Chiropractic did, but boy, they just fixed her behind the scenes. We were kind of like, she couldn't even walk. We had her in a wheelchair.
Wow.
Yeah, she was really in trouble, and she'd just been down the wrong way, sort of thing. And yeah, and we had her on stage, and nobody knew what had happened. You know, just literally 2 hours earlier. So amazing people, and yeah, they're a really good team. So we just want to welcome them in, and please go and see them. They just know what they're doing, particularly when it comes to all around sort of in their care, includes newborns, you know, children, the pregnant mothers, etc. And they're yeah, so go and see them. I think Katie is there, and amazing, wonderful people. So anyway, look, thank you everybody, and we'll just sign off for a little bit, and then we're going to be back, and we want to have a little time for people to have a general discussion around pre-pregnancy and pregnancy, because I know that we've got birth practitioners and other naturopathic health practitioners out here, clinicians, who have just got so much good wisdom to share, and that's what we want this to be about, is everybody giving you know, their 2 cents worth, and some, it might be just some really radical, interesting stuff that you've come across, but let's share it. So hopefully you guys might have something to contribute. So we'll see you all again soon.
Thank you.
Okay.
Done.